Hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron. Welcome back to the Gamertron show, and boo! Scary horror! Nah, that did nothing for you? Okay, moving on. Horror. Horror. One of the most popular genres in media of all time, whether it comes to novels, comic books, movies, and of course, video games. Actually, especially with video games. And especially as of late. Horror is that kind of genre that you love and hate at the same time. You have a love-hate relationship with it. Where you don't want to be scared, but at the same time, you want to be scared. You know that feeling where you have your guard up, you're really nervous and tense, you're waiting for something to scare you, you're waiting for something to happen. You got your guard up, you're pumped, you're ready, you're going, it's coming. But then nothing happens. You let your guard down, and then boom! The scare hits you. We've all had that feeling with the horror genre, and it's this interesting case of, to repeat myself, love and hate. Where we have this uncontrollable desire to be scared, to be afraid. It gives us that sort of adrenaline rush, but at the same time, we're so anxious to actually meet, face-to-face, encounter the scare. What is scary? The actual horror. And sometimes just the build-up to the scare is better than the payoff of the scare. But why is it? Why is it the horror genre? Why is it so beloved? Now, I could look at the horror genre in media as a whole, but this video would go on for about an hour, so let's keep it exclusively to video games for now. So why is it that gamers care so much about the horror genre? Because while most big AAA publishers have abandoned the horror genre, the gamers themselves have not, and they demand. They plead, they rant, they yell, they scream, they make their voice known that they want horror. I mean, look at the success of horror games like Amnesia: The Dark Descent, Slender, The Arrival, Outlast, Alien Isolation, Five Nights at Freddy's, hell, the playable demo, PT, for Silent Hills, gained worldwide acclaim and fame. And the original Silent Hill video games, 1, 2, and 3, are boasted by many gamers, by the gaming community, as some of the best video games of all time. Again, something also acclaimed and beloved to old school gamers is the old school original Resident Evils. Now granted, I personally don't find Resident Evil scary whatsoever. They're more silly sci-fi action games to me. I don't find the Resident Evil games scary at all. I can't agree with the opinion, nor can I even play devil's advocate as to why anybody would find the Resident Evil games scary, but apparently a lot of people consider the original Resident Evils to be the godfathers of horror games and what started the survival horror genre, and it is why they are so beloved and critically acclaimed. Even though they're not scary. How could anyone find the old Resident Evil scary? I'm sorry. I don't mean to step on anybody's toes. Please explain to me into the comment section, you hardcore Resident Evil fans who love the original Resident Evils. Please explain to me how you found Resident Evil scary. Please try to make me understand. I want to understand because I really don't understand. Moving on. And what are some of the most watched videos on the internet? What are some of the most popular videos? What are some of the most popular YouTube videos and YouTubers? It's horror. It's people who play horror games. Markiplier and PewDiePie, two of the biggest YouTubers on the bloody internet, got where they are. They're making millions of dollars, they have millions of fans, they have become worldwide icons and personalities because they played horror games. And those horror games are now a part of video game history. Amnesia: The Dark Descent has become a staple in video game history, not just for horror games, for video games in general. For how Amnesia: The Dark Descent, I cannot praise that game enough. I gotta make a confession here. Amnesia: The Dark Descent, that game is so damn scary. To this day, I have not beaten it, and I cannot beat it because the game scares me too damn much. And that right there is the power of horror games. That's how you know you've played a good game. That's the real special things about horror games, where you want to play them, but at the same time you don't want to play them. They're fun, but at the same time, they're kind of painful. Not because they're bad, but because they're so good at being a horror game. And maybe that's one of the other reasons why people demand and praise and criticize horror video games. Because to step away from video games and go into the horror media genre as a whole, horror has really become schlocky shit in other forms of media, in terms of novels, comic books, and especially movies. Oh dear God, it is so hard to find a good horror movie nowadays. It's a rare, once-in-a-blue-moon occurrence to see a good horror movie nowadays, because most horror movies, they're all about jump scares and shitty CGI monsters. Keep in mind, I don't mind CGI monsters, but if you're gonna make your creature CGI, you better make it damn look good. The biggest problem with horror nowadays as a media is that it's all about jump scares and not atmosphere. What makes horror horror? It's the setting, it's the atmosphere presented, which is something that video games nowadays are just nailing on the head that so many other forms of media just aren't. Why was the original Poltergeist terrifying? Why was the original The Exorcist so friggin' scary that movie theaters literally had to prepare ambulances outside of cinemas for people who would have heart attacks watching the film? Why are the original Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies make you jump out of your seat and go, oh my god? Because they focused just as much on the pacing, the setting, and the atmosphere, which is what a lot of movies and books and other things in the horror media have just forgotten. It's not all about having a scary killer or monster or having jump scares and have things at the screen go boo at you. It's about building a world, creating atmosphere, and building genuine tension through pacing. Let me give you an example from a more recent horror game, and one that's become critically acclaimed, and this horror game has become so popular that it's getting its own movie. You guys know what I'm talking about, Five Nights at Freddy's. Why was the original Five Nights at Freddy's so scary to so many people? Well, first let's look at the atmosphere and setting. You're in a rundown children's restaurant, a place that's supposed to be innocent and inviting, made dark, made foreign and mysterious, and almost kind of gruesome. The place is dirty and disgusting and dark, so dark. The place looks like it's been through hell. So Five Nights at Freddy's took this usually innocent setting and turned it on its head. Then who are the antagonists? Who are the horror icons? Who are the villains? Children's animatronics. Something you would usually take as, again, innocent. You wouldn't suspect this to be horrifying or nightmare-inducing. But when you take the original-like design of a children's animatronic mascot, and you change a few things, you pay attention to the little details that would frighten people, and you expand upon them, and you make these usually innocent things that no one would think would ever be scary, and you make them scary. When you give them these faces and these positions, and you give the sense of mystery and evil behind them. I mean, let's be honest. Before Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, no one would have ever thought someone in a hockey mask would be scary. But then you put a soulless killer behind that mask and you make it scary. You put a supernatural force behind children's animatronics and you make them scary. I mean, look how the horror genre has made little girls scary. No one would ever be as scared of a little girl. You see a little girl, usually the first thought that comes into your head is, oh, she's adorable! Look at her in her adorable tiny little dress. Look at her smile and try to sing, aw, she is precious. Then look at a game like Fear. Now, to be honest, Fear isn't all that scary, but it had moments that genuinely scared you, because it took a little girl, Alma. Like, how could you make a little girl scary? I don't know, give her pitch black hair, a bright red blood dress, glowing orange eyes. Oh, yeah, you make a little girl look like a offspring of Satan. I'm afraid to go into the dark now. And one of the main reasons why horror video games are so much more effective than the other means of horror. Horror video games are effective because you are the victim. Where in horror movies, you're seeing actors go through these events. And it's hard to connect with the events to actually be scared of the events because they're not happening to you. Same thing with books. You're reading about this character who's going through horrifying stuff. You're not going through it. The beautiful, wonderful, and absolutely terrifying thing about horror video games is that you are the star of the show. You are the victim. You are the one being chased by the killer or the evil force in this horror. And that makes things all the more terrifying, because you're not watching it happen, you are experiencing it, you are a part of it. The horror is coming to you, it's searching for you, it's waiting for you. And the horror doesn't happen until you take control, until you move your character, until you direct yourself to the horror, even though you really don't want to, but you really want to at the same time. And I think that's really why the horror genre is so beloved. It puts us in dangerous, horrifying situations that you wouldn't want to be in. No one would want to be in these situations, but at the same time, that sense, that feeling of danger, of being put into that situation, of feeling the unknown, of having something foreign happen to you, being chased by a killer, being haunted by an evil presence, just knowing that there's an entity out to get you, or the illusion of something out to get you. And in video games, it's out to get you. It's not out to get some actor that you're watching on the screen, it's out for you. You are a part of this experience, you are in the horror game. Being able to experience these terrifying and dangerous situations from the comfort of your own home without the worry of actually getting harmed, it's adrenaline-inducing. It gives you that feeling of, that was awful, but that was awesome at the same time. Because you know what? It's alright to be scared. It's alright to get a good scare. Because facing our fears and eventually overcoming them makes us more brave and courageous in the end of everything. Horror actually helps strengthen us as a person. Overcoming the horror makes us a stronger individual. Overcoming the fear, overcoming the anxiety. The horror media, the horror genre, horror video games can scare us, give a good adrenaline rush, and at the same time, maybe even help improve us as people. I know that's getting a bit deep, a bit philosophical, and maybe I'm talking out of my ass. Maybe I'm looking too deep into this. But hey, that's just my thoughts, feelings, and opinions. What are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the horror genre in video games, and why do you think the horror genre is so beloved in terms of gaming? I'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section. Please write a comment. I love reading comments. I don't get nearly enough comments. Please leave a comment. And if you liked the video in any way, shape, or form, if you enjoyed my commentary, the gameplay, if you liked anything and everything about the video, please hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved in the video if you hit the like button. And finally, I am the Gamertron. I love video games, and I love talking about video games, and if that's something that interests you, maybe consider supporting me by subscribing to my channel. Anyways, guys, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.